Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the 130th episode of the Ubuntu Q&A. That's starting to get a high number now.
Yeah, it's almost frightening.
Yeah, we'll post the link that we are live, and also in that channel. There we go. Okay, yeah, this is getting quite a huge number. So, with that, I guess we should just go straight into some good, sweet news of what's been going on in the Ubuntu Touch development world.
And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of it because first of all, we had this just to mention it real quick. We had this very interesting like little meetup, not personal meetup, but on Jitsi with regards to bug triaging, and it was such a great thing to do, really. So it was very helpful. It was an enjoyable experience. So what's not to like about this? And in the meantime, there have also been a few MRs that flying in that Marius is probably gonna pick out of GitLab right now.
Uh-huh. So there has been quite a lot of number of contributions this last 2 weeks. Uh, we don't really have the time to go through all of them because there's so many. So I am already on page 3. So I will start on page 1. So one thing I want to quickly go through here is a lot of changes to various build components from various outside contributors like Luca from PostmarketOS has done a lot of porting to make these components work and build on newer. I think most of them are newer glibc version. No, not glibc, but muscle version because they are not using glibc; they're using muscle.
Right.
And also newer compilers, um, and also even newer components in general, like libraries and all that. And that really helps us a lot because that makes us ready for the future before the future comes to Ubuntu, uh, and even Debian for that matter. So that is really amazing to see. Also, one thing we also got contribution from Oliver from Canonical that actually updated our use of some non-standard AppArmor calls. With non-standard, I mean versions uh, that only got published on Ubuntu, but now it can work across all systems that use AppArmor. This specifically patch was from Lumiri Download Manager, so that's awesome to see.
Oh yeah.
I also want to go over some work that Rajanan has done. He has done a lot of work, but I will pick up some of them. So one of the most notable ones are the ADB prompt is now working again. He also pulled out the ADB part from the indicator because it shouldn't really be an indicator and onto its own component. So there has been a lot of work there and all the magic that need to happen for this prompt to work. This means that we can have secure what they call secure ADB. Secure ADB only means that you need to press yes when you connect the device to ADB. ADB, for those that don't know, is the debug bridge or Android debug bridge that we use, which is the tool that we use to connect with the device from a laptop or PC.
It's basically for opening a shell to the device in development mode, so that you can deploy your applications, that you can enter the shell like SSH, for example, just with a USB cable attached. And you
Yeah,
need to authorize it. You can authorize it now using an on-screen slider that just pops up, I suppose, right? Or not a slider, a snap decision.
yeah. Also, one here that I guess you can talk about. Uh, it's one from you actually, to integrate Lumiri Toolkit engine.
Oh yeah, right. So we do have, due to the Snap enablement adventure, we now have a Polkit agent in Ubuntu Touch, which means that privileged operations, like for example, setting the host name or setting some specific things that, for example, systemd does or Snap does, doing higher privileged operations now is possible through a password entry, graphical password entry in a little dialog that pops up in the desktop. So this is something that we have been talking about for a long time internally and or internally, quote unquote, in the community, so to say, that we would like to have it, and now we have it. And it's also had to replace a few things for making sure that password changing works still. It needed a little change there, removing basically the old component that was responsible for changing the password, because now that is handled by the Polkit agent.
Yeah, that is amazing to get it in, and that also will help desktop a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. It even
Oh,
allows installing. It also allows installing snaps using the Snap Store from the Ubuntu folks, or from the Snap Store folks on the Snap Store. So you can have the official graphical user interface to manage your applications on your Snap applications on Ubuntu Touch. So that is quite something.
yeah, that
And
is.
Fusion asks that it landed. Yes, it has just landed a few hours ago, I suppose.
Yeah, so it will be in the next Devil, uh, when Devil are building again.
Yeah.
So that's why that you haven't probably seen any Devil updates. We are working on that issue where it doesn't build Devil images anymore. But that should be fixed pretty soon. Uh, there was also changes from Orin in here that adds Pine Tab 2 sensors and Pine Tab 1 and 2 morph scaling. That's pretty nice for Pine Tab users.
Oh yeah.
And also Luigi 311 has forward ported some browser patches that was lingering around from the Xenial days. Uh, so they added reader mode, which is this button you press, and then it basically simplifies the page so you can read it much easier,
Oh yeah.
which is really nice. And in the same vein, they also fixed it predictive text. This is also a forward port from Xenial days. Um, so that is now where you can predictive text is when you type something and you get predictions basically. Now that should work in the browser too. Uh, Also, I want to know talk about some Lumiri changes that has come in. Uh, there is some open PRs that hasn't been merged yet. I will actually quickly mention those before I go to Lumiri. So there's some open ones here that are really cool. So this is actually also one from Canonical, no, from not from Canonical, from Alfred. It's the booster. I know you will talk about this a little bit
Yes.
later.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. So that one is really cool to see. Uh, Now I will actually. There's so many changes here, so I need to go through and see what makes. If not, we would sit here for a long time. I see there's also a lot of porting changes here.
Yeah.
For example, for the OnePlus 6, I see Ivo has added Snap support.
Mm,
Oh,
very
so
good.
that's very cool. Lionel, he made double tech to wake system persistent, so now it should persist across boot. That is really nice.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I will actually sort this by. Can I sort it by merge data? There we go.
I think you can.
That's my issue because I that makes a lot more sense.
Where are the issues, or where are the selected merge requests?
Uh, okay, that
Mars is having a brain freeze.
I sorted by merge date, but this does not seem like merge date.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Might be. Okay. Uh, yeah, this one ours at least. So Lionel also added support for custom ringtones. So you can now have custom ringtones in your Ubuntu Touch. This
Is
was
that an
merged
issue?
4 hours ago. Uh, so now you can have custom ringtones. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that was merged because they were merged 4 hours ago. So that's really cool. Really cool. Lionel also done a lot of work on the messaging app, I see. So now it has info in the MMS bubble, so we can get more information about what went wrong and if there was an error. That is really cool. Also, Lionel did added support for audio in the media player app. So now you can play audio files in the media player app.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. Rachanan, he has done a lot of work on the Lomiri app launch. So it now, and also that's also the trust store. So now it can handle localized symbol icon.
Oh wow.
So
So
that's
basically, for maybe it sounds like something that can be reused for a translator that shows different icons based on the localization of the device at hand. For
yeah,
example, little details like that are possible now.
yeah, it is really cool. And here is one that I that is also really cool. It's one from Mohammed. In the greeter, or what we like to call the lock screen, it now will have a text where it says uh, time to fully charge.
Oh yeah, that was a
Yeah,
great one. Yeah.
yeah. And also in the same vein, I'm not sure if the one from Lomiri has been merged yet, but Lionel is working on having private notifications. So when your lock screen is locked, the notifications will be blurred.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Uh, I see there is a lot here, but I think we need to continue moving because if I will read this is a lot. So I can't thank anyone enough because the last what should I say months, 2 months has been amazing with a lot of contributions from the community, and that's just what the Ubuntu Touch is all about, and it's amazing
Oh
to
yeah.
see. I also have some news, but I also will take that later on. Uh, some of my cool news.
Perfect.
Uh, okay, should we thank some sponsors then?
Definitely. Yeah, we should.
Yeah, let me pull up that banner. So I would really like to thank Smooth, Vola, and Pine64, and I would also like just to thank our infrastructure sponsors, which is DigitalOcean, CloudRun, Netlify, and Gandhi.net. These are the ones that make our infrastructure awesome. Then I will also take some sponsors uh, from Patreon. So these are the Patreons that have selected the shout out from Patreon. So these one are Luigi311, Heather Ellsworth, Marty McFly Jr., Ronderus, Spenderhouse, PK, Kenneth Drew, Daniel Franz Katz, Robin Hood, 8 Teal, Tafison, G, JT, GT, uh, Will Atwood, Gardner and Associate Consulting Inc., and Tiska. If you want me to completely say your name wrong too, please consider becoming a sponsor or donate to us. That really help us out a lot. we are a community driven effort, and we are really really thankful for any donations that we get, and that the donation is what keeps us alive and what
Mhm.
keeps this vision alive. So if you want to donate, go to ubports.com/donate, and really thank you for your support. Let's get back to the show, shall
Oh
we?
yeah,
You want to take your booster?
yeah. First of all, the booster stuff, and that is what is booster again? So in our power management component called RepowerD, we have some great support for boosting the performance, or what is going to come up now is some great improvements regarding boosting the performance where necessary when interacting with the device, while also preserving battery life while the device is asleep. So Android and Helium based devices, they usually have those things called power health, which basically enable this in a vendor specific way because the vendor has done all the work for us already. And what we can do is from RepowerD, whenever we interact with the device, we tell RepowerD, hey, interacting with the device is now requested. Please boost your CPU frequency real quick for a short amount of time so that it basically just makes the animations and scrolling through things as fluid as possible. And when leaving the device idling around on the table or even powered off, like powered off in the sense of suspended, it will drive down the power consumption even more with regards to what is necessary to, or giving the system hints on how the user wants to use the device at hand at the moment. So yeah, that is something that I can show off here. So I do have this Pixel 3a running again with a long list of things, and maybe I can just show off how. I mean,
Ooh,
it's certainly sometimes a little stuttery, but that might also be due to the blur effect of the webcam right now. But this is
yeah,
what it looks like right now, and it's hard to show off on the webcam for sure. So you will have to experience it yourself. But this allows vendor specific improvements into, or porter specific improvements, if you will, onto device ports so that performance is optimized when necessary and when requested by the user. So, and it also is the first step with regards to towards power saving options in the system settings. So, in the future, it might be possible to just select the power saving mode and it will drive down the screen all the time, or the power consumption all the time, which is might be preferable to some people. Who knows? So this is an option that might land someday in the future, and that's just a little glimpse of what power saving and power usage related things are queued up, so to say.
yeah, amazing stuff. You also want to just continue straight into SIP?
Oh yeah, all right. So we have in the community a little group of people that is interested in getting SIP calls working, and that includes not only North American users who would like to keep on calling with their phones, with their Ubuntu Touch phones, but also people interested in the SIP technology overall. And first of all, it is a nice alternative to both GSM calling and voice over LTE because it only requires a data connection and using a SIP trunk, for example. And what I do have here is a little video showcasing, and it is gonna be blurred for sure. But this is a little bit of a. I basically take the phone here and I pick up the phone call from the Ubuntu Touch powered device, and I can call, and it's all
Oh,
blurred perfectly because it's a private number. But I can basically just stop the call from here, and it's done. So it is possible. I mean, I broke something along the way. Again, it's not working 100%, and it's probably misconfigured to some degree, but it's a first step towards SIP calling on Ubuntu Touch integrated. It's basically reviving what has been brewing, or what was there from canonical times, just reviving those things Thanks and hats off to Lionel for this one because you did most of the work for it, and I just do some spit and polish here and there. But it is interesting to see SIP calling being integrated so well into the operating system itself. You just select or you just enter a SIP account in system settings, and then the system picks it up and makes it possible to just call using your dialer and receive calls using the dialer through SIP. And I hope to get this into the system very soon because I do think that many people are going to like it. But it certainly needs help from outsiders, from contributors still, and from testers because not every SIP configuration is the same. So it basically goes through SIP, and from the SIP trunk, it goes out through to landline and mobile, what have you, so that you can do regular phone calls with a SIP enabled account. Isn't
Wow,
that
that is amazing. That is truly amazing. Everyone praise Alfred and
I know?
Lionel for
And
this work.
the folks at Canonical who did the initial work, and the Farstream guys, and everyone.
Yeah,
It's it's a multidisciplinary effort, but we will get there.
yeah, that's amazing. So I will actually continue some in the same vein, since VLT is based on zip. I will talk a little bit about VLT. So that's something that I've been cooking up, uh, me together with Ivan and Mikael, and also some other people from the FAST community. So we are trying to go kind of we are trying different approaches at the same time. So we have the fully open source one, which is an for now an idea. It's an idea to build a completely open source stack of VLT that runs on top of the system, like zip, for example. It runs on top of the system and doesn't go deep into the roots of the kernel and everything. So this is an idea. The second idea, uh, which has come a little bit further, and not on the Ubuntu Touch side, but some other distribution have been trying this, is to try to reverse engineering the kernel side and binary blobs. Um, that also has gone on a bit. It's still in the cooking phase. These two approaches are great, but they take a lot of resource and time. So
Mhm.
that's why we have a third option, which is the one that I've been working on, which is trying to integrate the already existing binaries, like we do on Halium in general, uh, taking the Halium approach and then making those work as they is, and just interfacing with them. The tricky part here is that in Android's wisdom, they changed the API calls from being in C++ and C to Java. So the higher level API for VLT is in Java, and that we can't use. So we need to go deeper and use directly interfacing with the vendor partition, which then means that this is a part that's not open source. So that's really hard to reverse engineer because we need to trace all the calls and finding out what config files to toggle and whatnot. We have got quite far. So there's different approach in the same. So there's the approach of trying to reverse engineer and also trying to just fiddle around with it. So there is multiple approach here. Some of them are working better than others.
Mm.
I have a version that works, but have major issues. We also have we're trying to do more of a clean room again, where we start over again and take everything that we learned and apply that to that project. So it's still in the kind of, I would call it research phase. Um, I would say uh, we have gotten really far in this research phase. So if everything goes well, I hope that we have something working really quick that we can really show off and try out. But loyalty has probably been the biggest, if not the biggest issue that we have ever seen trying to solve. It's really a real big nutcracker.
Mm.
So it is. I really hope we can get this fixed and finally move on from there. And next to that, we also have RCS that we need to tackle at some point. But luckily, RCS is more standardized than VoLT. VoLT is a standard that no one follows. RCS is more of a standard that people actually follow.
Mm.
So there's bright hope for that in the future. Um, and also in the same area, I've been working on importing things that did the work done from Sailfish to enable 5G and importing that to Ubuntu Touch. So 5G now works actually on 5G device. In this case, it's the Fairphone 5. No, Fairphone 4. Uh, so this is also the pull requests are up. So I hope to get it in pretty quickly, and then everyone can try 5G if they have 5G in their area. Uh, Also, I will talk a little bit about the Fairphone 5. So the Fairphone 5, I've been ongoing porting in my parallel effort to do all this. Um, in the Fairphone 5, it's now in a state where it boots and some components work, but we have a major roadblock that I haven't been able to fix yet. I can't access the device. The USB thing doesn't work. So mm, that is a really bummer. So if anyone wants to have a Fairphone 5, wants to help out, please ping me. I need all the help I can get on this one. I don't know. I'm really lost here. So yeah, that has been my week.
There we go.
There
A
we
lot
go.
of experiments and a lot of laboratory stuff going on here, but it's gonna land someday in Ubuntu Touch for sure.
Yeah,
So I hope you're just as excited as we are.
yeah. The really annoying with VLT and this research is that it takes so much time, and you get mm, sometimes you get nowhere because
Yeah,
it is it is like it's poking in a black box, and you don't know if it works or not. And yeah, it's really but that's the kind of work that I love. So for me it's fine.
yeah.
But I can feel the frustration of why it's taking so long.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we
Then we
should get over straight to the questions then, huh?
Yeah. You wanna pick one?
Yeah, I will take the first one from Christatos. When I look at the GitLab milestones for UT, we will see only one more update based on Ubuntu 20.04. At the end of April, UT will switch to Ubuntu 24.04. Are there some new devices that will be retired after that switch, i.e., for old kernel versions? Especially in my case, I would like to know if the Vodafone Yggdrasil will be left on 20.04 or if it's new enough for 24.04. Well, it's probably gonna get 24.04. Can't see any reason why it should stay stuck with 20.04 because the devices that we had to drop them because their vendor parts were, or the Halium parts, what we now consider to be Halium, were not open and were not recompilable by us. So we couldn't easily manage to add support for newer things, and also kernel changes required for systemd and stuff like that. Um, those are not much of an issue right now, unless systemd developers require something that is not available on older kernels. But in that sense, we can still patch some devices, I suppose,
Yeah.
to behave the way that they need to do. But other than that, I don't see much of a reason for the 24.04 based Ubuntu Touch to be a blocker for a lot of devices, especially since we've now quote unquote streamlined the way of porting over devices to Ubuntu Touch. So that's that. I think.
Yeah. I would say like I don't think any devices will be dropped. This there I also see no reason for it. I checked the systemd requirement. Everything looks good.
Yeah.
Uh, So there is no reason why we should drop anything else in a good while. I see. So it's all good there, but you mentioned Volaphone, and the Volaphone definitely will be there.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I see an interesting question in live chat from Fuse Team. In Alfred's demo, I saw an incoming notification for a SIP call. How can I get that for testing purposes? Well, make sure that your SIP connection is configured properly. Then it will work. Uh, right now, it's not only configuration, it's also some debugging on the telephony service side, which requires me to dig deeper into GStreamer and stuff like that, and FarStream and what else is part of the whole mix, so to say. But assuming you just configure it correctly, make sure that your zip trunk either uses UDP, TCP, or TLS. And if it uses TLS, that it has the um, right now there is no way to just select the right um, like certificates for HTTPS for TLS. But if you place them in the right directory, they should work as well. So it's just a matter of configuring the thing, following using strace what is happening on the various services, what they're trying to do, and what is breaking there and what is not breaking. So in that sense, it might just be a configuration issue, but sometimes they also expose weird bugs that need to be tackled first in order to consider this a complete task, so to say.
Yeah. I'll also pick a question real quick from Luigi. RCS is a standard that requires Google servers, no? So Fuse Team actually replied to this, and I will basically say the exact same thing: is that RCS doesn't require Google services. We can even set up our own relay server if you want to. Uh, but most of the times you will probably use the carrier server, and so it's a multiple server effort. Of course, many of is using Google servers because they are lazy and don't want to set up their own. Um, but that's not something that we would be comfortable doing. Kind of defeats the purpose a little bit of
Yeah.
using Google servers. So yeah. Okay, so I will actually pick up the next question here.
Okay.
So Qt Web Engine 5.15.15, that's a lot of fives,
Yeah.
uh, is already causing issues on some sites. Are we doomed to constantly struggle to update ourselves as much as possible? Is there a solution that allows you to reduce your amount of work and leaves the site compatible as long as possible? So I will split this up a little bit. So are are we doomed to constantly struggle to update ourselves? Most likely, yes. This is kind of the issue with browsers these days, is that they they move quite fast, and a lot of even like long term browsers like the Firefox long terms and stuff like that
Yeah.
get out of date even though they're technically supported, uh, because pages are eager to use tools like um, I don't remember what it's called, but these tools that notifies that your page is out of date, even though it works perfectly fine. So it's more of a problem. Like all these pages that says that they are requiring a newer version is not really requiring newer versions at all. Um,
I
so
see a cat,
yeah, there is a cat here.
and I heard a cat actually.
He just jumped up on the.
Like at school, we're all confused when the squirrel runs around outside of the window, right?
Yeah, squirrel,
Squirrel!
squirrel. There's also a cat here.
Look at all those cats.
Look at all those cats.
So yeah,
Okay.
but on that, in that sense, we've also, or I personally have been experimenting with a little side project, and that is, I mean, it was just a little experiment. It's nothing that I'm going to make much use of right now, but it was basically bringing WebKit over to Ubuntu Touch. Basically, just trying out WebKit and whether it compiles. It does compile. It also has Qt bindings, so it's easy to build a Qt application out of WebKit, the browser maintained by Apple. So Safari and other contemporary browsers that are out there. Um, like we can basically have something based on WebKit also if we want to. It's not only Firefox and Chrome because that's not all of the world. There are also some other browser engines, and WPE WebKit, as Rajanan mentions here, it's one flavor of WebKit that is specifically tailored for single purpose use cases like signage use cases, but also possible to make use of in a Qt application. So you can embed WebKit, WPE WebKit inside of a Qt app using that. It compiles. It works to a certain degree, but it's not as performant as our Chromium-based Qt WebKit-based Chrome browser right now.
Yeah. And while we go back, that was a perfect segue into the Qt Web Engine part. So the Qt Web Engine, the reason why we are stuck now is because of the Qt 6 upgrade. And you know what would solve that in some way? Snap.
By the way, I couldn't hear that. Maybe are you covering your microphone right now, Marius?
No, it's the cat.
Cat.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can. It sounded like a lot of fluff in the microphone. That's for
There
sure.
was a lot. There was a lot of fluff in the microphone. I didn't know the microphone was there, but apparently it's there. So what I said is that the reason why we really are stuck now is because of the Qt6 upgrade. So the Qt Web Engine we use now is the latest one in Qt5. So once we upgrade to Qt6, we will get newer browsers.
Right.
But there is a thing that might be able to solve this a little bit quicker. Snap.
Right. So
Yeah.
if we put it in a snap and provided it as a snap as an example, it could be installable through the user and be basically available, and it could be custom tailored to the needs of Ubuntu Touch in a sense. Because, for example, I mean, for a regular Firefox in a snap, the on-screen keyboard doesn't work right now, but it could with the right integration into WPE WebKit. So yeah, that is something. Then we could ship it as a snap for sure.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I also this is also a little bit on the second part of this questionnaire. Is there a way that we constantly struggle to update ourselves as much as possible? Uh, I this would solve that, and in the sense that we don't need to follow Qt like all the time.
Yeah.
Luckily, Qt Web Engine doesn't require you to follow Qt version except major versions. So that's the kind of gotcha.
Mm.
Um, so that's going to be really really cool to see that trying out to get that in a snap, and eventually, of course, we want to upgrade to Qt6. I'm not saying that we're not doing that,
Mm.
but that will probably take longer than porting just the browser to Qt6.
Right.
uh okay. uh you want to take the next one?
Well, which one is that? Could you please read it?
Yep. uh so Mario here, Mario CH, says that he got an upgrade for the Blue Sea stack on his Ubuntu 2004, and he's wondering if that is something that would benefit us or if it's just a security update.
Well, we will definitely get it. We will definitely get the upgrade. And as far as I was able to tell, Christatos in the news forum thread just pointed out that, pointed out that it is related to a security issue with the Bluetooth stack of Linux, Android, and iOS. And yeah, if it's about that, then sure, it will come with the next release for sure.
Yep. Next question from Arubilasander. What?
Arubilander is it's his.
Arubilander. Oh yeah, my uh what's that called? That brain freeze. Yeah, my brain freeze is continuing to freeze. I have heard that the aim to release U2 based on Noble is on or very close to Ubuntu planned release date. Is the plan to going further to release on every LTS release? Yes, that is the plan. We had, we really want to target every LTS and work closely with those. That is really the long term plan to do that. There might be some internal release that we also do, but stable releases most likely will be on LTS ones, because
Yeah.
upgrading the base every 6 months for us will probably be too challenging as long as we are a small team currently.
Mhm.
But also, I don't think it will benefit the user that much to having to do those updates all the time, because you lose. Uh, in the case of click, you might need to recompile them and all that, and it will there will a lot of disruptions, that for the user is no real benefit of moving that quickly. Since our components are, it's not because we port our components and build the latest one on top of the LTS. Um, the software that we ship is technically not LTS because we are constantly updating them. The only thing that's LTS is the base, and for the base, that makes no real big difference on the user side.
Yeah.
And the second question: has there been any consideration of changing the stable update naming scheme? Yes, that also has been talked about, and that is something that's going to happen on the next Noble release, or the next after OTA 4. So OTA 4 will be the last update that we want to use the OTA naming scheme. Um, so the details on this is not completely set in stone, but they are pretty much set in stone. So we want to go more of a date, like the Ubuntu releases are. Um, so you would know what date they are on, and all that. Um, yeah. Uh, Next question from GT. Question: besides UbiPorts, there are a few other Linux on mobile ecosystems around, Plasma Mobile and GNOME Shell. I wanted to ask whether there is any chance that the ecosystem can work closer together. Related to this, is it technically possible to build an app ecosystem where apps run on a UbiPorts, Plasma Mobile, and GNOME Shell Mobile?
Uh, I'm gonna step up as the pessimist right now. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, to me personally, the reason we have all these various flavors of Linux on mobile is because no one can agree on one standard, and that's it. So there will always be some sort of distinct separation between GNOME Shell apps and Plasma mobile apps, Fosh apps, and Ubuntu Touch apps. I mean, that's just the way it is. Some people prefer just the way something looks on one platform versus the other. But that doesn't mean that we can't have some sort of cross distribution effort here. So, and that's where I need more optimistic people here to join us in that on that front, because I'm pretty sure as an app developer myself, I would like to see my apps being used outside of Ubuntu Touch as well. Maybe on Plasma mobile based devices and Fosh or GNOME Shell based devices. But I can't do it all by myself, and it needs people who think that it's basically something they want to actually do it. So we all somewhat need to agree on an approach here, and it's like cat herding in a sense, as we can see from Marius's background every now and then today. Like managing cats is a little hard to pull off, but sometimes we need to do that, and without getting bit, so to say, or without getting scratches.
But since you talked about positive, I can be your positive side here a little bit.
Sure.
Uh, so some of the positive things that is here is that uh, I will pick up Plasma Mobile because we are using both Qt and there's a lot more similarities between those. There
Yeah.
is components that we are working on together. There is components that we share. It's not that many, sadly, but there is some. There's even some components that we use from Plasma, and there's components that Plasma use from us. One example is the AFD service Plasma Mobile use from us. And also on Plasma Mobile, we use the same mobile stack, at least used to, and I haven't checked that out in a while. But telepathy and that mobile stack.
Yeah.
Um, for apps, it is a little bit easier to port over, and not even port. You can just run Plasma Mobile apps on top of Ubuntu Touch, and vice versa. That works a little bit better. But Plasma Mobile has a new Qt version currently, so it makes it a little bit hard. But again, Snap would fix that. Snap is the solution for every problem. Just throw a snap at it.
Exactly.
So working together with Plasma Mobile is something that we could do, but again, as Alfred said, there is disagreement on how to do things and how they should look. Um, but a Plasma app would work better on Ubuntu Touch. A GNOME app, a little bit worse because they use different toolkit. In interior, yes, it would work on Ubuntu Touch. Would it look great? Maybe not. It wouldn't kind of fit the same style. It would feel a little bit out of place, but it
Yeah.
would work. And the same for Ubuntu Touch apps. Any Ubuntu Touch app would work on Fosh, GNOME Shell, or Plasma Mobile, and they even do some of them. I have seen some use them on GNOME Shell and some use them on Plasma Mobile. But again, they look out of place. They don't deeply integrate to the system. They
Yeah.
don't agree with the design language.
And that's what I noticed when I was trying to integrate some GTK3 into a click package once. And of course, yeah, there were some distinct similarities and some distinct like differences. Like, yeah, sure, you can use your finger for touch input on some apps, but they don't integrate into the content hub. They don't integrate into media hub and stuff like that. So it's a little hit and miss, and the experience might be poor in some cases. So just setting expectations in a way that like satisfies the or respects everyone involved here, because we don't want people to get angry at app developers because their apps don't perform as well as they do on other platforms, and vice versa, right? So yeah, that's that.
Yeah,
But it's also already possible, and remember, it's already possible to put GTK and new acute into click packages, so that shouldn't hold you back from accomplishing your goals. In case you want to bring over some other applications to Ubuntu Touch and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, it's possible already.
yeah. Okay. So next question from Dam Dam Pumpkin. I oh man, my
That's the
pronunciation.
best one to date.
Yeah, that's the best. They ask if the Snap version of the installer has been in beta for a long time, or the version 0.9.7 has been in beta for a long time. There hasn't been any stable updates, and the stable channel gives none. Will be publish a new stable Snap version of the installer? Yes, this is something actually speaking about it, I was moving things over from GitHub uh, like yesterday actually, and I noticed that. So that is something that I will get fixed, and we should get a new version out.
Mhm.
Uh, then we have the last question from the forum. Uh, moving on from a kind of misunderstood question from last week. Always we have been advised using the installer for installing Ubuntu Touch, but to clarify, would it be possible to have a better tutorial and updated link to install the correct Android ROM in order to install Ubuntu Touch?
Well, that is something that is very device specific, and not every device follows the same rules here. So, I mean, the general rule of thumb is yes, It needs some tutorial describing how to. I mean, the general rule of thumb is yes, it needs some version of Android that is specific to the device to be installed, but that is very specific to the device again. So one generic tutorial will probably not work out as one would expect in that sense. But if you care about the specific device, then sure, you can make a video tutorial or other blog posts or whatever describing how to install those things. But still, I mean, the devices page is probably the best place still to notify people about who are interested in installing it that the tutorial is understandable and the like how should I say so that it's easily grasped. You can easily grasp the thing when you look at it, so that you just follow the guide on the devices page. For example, on the Pixel 3a, it mentions specifically that it needs the preparatory step for Android 9 in a specific version. It links to the version of the thing, and you can install it from there. So, yeah, something like that would fit best in the devices page for sure.
Yeah, and also this information is also a lot up to the porters too, because this is information that only they really have in the beginning.
Yeah, and not only porters, but also device users that want to improve the installation process on their devices. They might it's not there's not a much of a programming experience needed. You just need to figure out how to handle those YAML files that describe the steps required to install Ubuntu Touch. So yeah, that is also something that I can only suggest to anyone who is interested in contributing to also take a look at, because this is a very easy nut to crack here, not as tough as other areas, and almost anybody could do it. I'm pretty sure.
And also the last part of his question is, would it be possible to have a big warning regarding the difficulty of returning to Android on certain devices of Ubuntu Touch? This is also again something that's really up to the device specific, and some devices are easier than not,
Yeah.
uh, and also, but I have to admit, installing Android, and installing thing on Android based devices is a complicated thing, and it's not really a user friendly way in the long run to go through this. Like, the installer is what we have made to make this as simple as possible,
Mhm.
but pre-installing the device and getting the support and everything like that would be a lot better for most people, because going through this installing step is it's in my opinion, it's a big roadblocker for many that want to switch to Ubuntu Touch. It is a kind of a scary thing to do, in some regard, because you have this device that costs a lot of money, and you want to plug it in, and it might be broken afterwards.
Right.
So the flashing and all that is not an optimal solution that we want to really like. Of course, it's always going to be there, and porting is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Uh, but I really wish that Android would make it easier to come back. And that's not something that we easily can do, because uh, all the devices are device specific. Some vendors don't even publish Android images, so you
Yeah.
have to fiddle around with some scrape that someone at XDA took out, and you don't really know if that's safe or not. Um, so the porting situation, not the porting, but the flashing situation on Android it's a mess, and it's not really our fault. Uh, well, it's not our fault in that matter. It's the manufacturers and all that makes it hard to do. And I think they do this specifically because they don't want you to flash your device.
Mm.
So we really want to try to get everything pre-installed, or even buy it from someone that flash it for you, or even get someone that knows about it to flash it for you. That
Right.
also is something you can do, or you can try it out yourself with the installer. But again, the success is always depending on a lot of factor, which is the really bad part.
Mm.
And under flashing is a huge mess. We are trying to make it better because our flashing process, in my opinion, not to toot my own horn, is a lot cleaner and nicer. But like for example, going through the recovery and flashing some random zip file that you got from the internet,
Yeah.
that is how the usual Android flashing is. We at least have a more standardized way and cleaner way, in my opinion. I but yeah,
Also, it's more provable who the files come from,
yeah,
uh, because but those are basically signed by our servers, and we can reliably tell that this application or this update package is actually from UBports and not some random stranger that just happened to push some data, some zip file on the internet, right?
yeah,
So always be aware of that. There are reasons why we do installation the way that we do.
yeah. We are.
Also, I have a little question here that I want to pick up from live chat before we go, and that is from Luigi311 again. If whether I have booted my Pine Tab 2 yet? Yes, I did actually, and Pine Tab 2, it's compared to the Jingpad, it's performing pretty well. I mean, wait a second, we can even click this here and show it. This is the question. And yeah, compared to the Jingpad, because it doesn't have to drive as many pixels, definitely feels a little smoother, even though the CPU count is lower than on the Jingpad. But that's minor, just a minor thing. I mean, compared to something that is not available easily to be bought and purchased anymore, that is something. This is better than having no device at all, and it's for that it's doing pretty well. So I mean I got it, and I want to improve the Lumiri situation on it as quickly as possible, so that multi-monitor support works on it as well as on the Jingpad too. There's a little difference though. Jingpad does not have wired display but wireless, and the Pine Tab 2 will certainly have in the first short term have it the other way around. It will have wired display but not wireless. Simply because wireless display requires a lot of Android encoder stuff at the moment, and the GStreamer based encoding isn't there yet. But as soon as it is, we could also see some wireless display on the Pine Tab 2, for example. But I won't promise anything on that front right now. Just saying wired display capabilities are there, and we will definitely make sure to make use of them as perfectly as we can.
Yeah, I don't have a Pine Tab 2, so
You can change that.
yeah, I can. Okay, we are actually at the top of the hour. This has been a great Q&A and with a lot of questions, and we actually
Yeah.
just have 1 minute left. So I think we can add it off and end it off here.
Mhm.
But I want to actually get back to a question that we have been asking a lot on this Q&A, and I want to bring it back. So, what kind of tree would you be, Alfred?
What kind of tree?
Yes,
May I be a Christmas tree that is just having these little, like, cute little ornaments on them?
yes,
I
yes.
want to be a Christmas tree.
That's a good answer. That's
I
actually
want to
a
be a Tanne. Weihnachtstanne.
I want to be a tree that no one wants to use for firewood. Uh,
That is the fine one. Yeah, that's fair. That's
yeah,
fair.
I want a tree that no one touches, that just stays there. But I don't want to be alone, so I need to have multiple trees around me that also don't get touched.
We should be that's a good forest. That's the untouchable forest there.
Untouchable for us. Ubuntu untouchable.
Unt- Ubuntu don't touch this tree.
Ubuntu choose tree. Okay, let's leave it at that. This has been a great Q&A, everyone, and you have an awesome day. Bye.
Bye.